What people don't know was Puff was putting the battery in Wolf back, talking about, I don't need you no more. When I get this, do this Universal deal, I'm gonna give you $300,000 and leave you the f alone.
Go look in the picture, man. You hear me? Ain't no idea. Puffy ain't got now bit of you in him, man. For the way you carry yourself, the manner. So I be having a little respect for that when he be handling his business.
You know, he told Wolf he didn't need Wolf no more. He said, I don't need you no more. And he said Meek told him, you know, that he didn't need Wolf no more.
Diddy's legal world is crashing. But this ain't the first time secrets caught up to him. Remember Anthony Wolf Jones, the loyal right hand who got gunned down in ATL? Word on the street is he had receipts. He had a hidden file. And if that file ever surfaces, Diddy's current case may look like light work.
Puff told Meech, go ahead and do what you gotta do, when him and Wolf and them was beefing outside. I heard Wolf say out of his mouth, I'ma show you.
Anthony Wolf Jones wasn't some regular bodyguard hired to look tough and flash muscles. He was more than that. He was a Bronx street legend. He grew up in it, he lived through it, and came out respected on every street corner he stepped on.
But Wolf was a boss. You understand? Wolf just wasn't no security type dude. Wolf had admirations to do things bigger and better.
Wolf and Puff go way back, and it wasn't just a work relationship. This was family. Wolf was in Diddy's tight inner circle from the early days of Bad Boy. When Diddy started rising in the music industry in the 90s, Wolf was right there by his side, keeping him safe, making sure no harm came his way, especially during that crazy period when Puff and Suge was beefing.
Suge's homie gets killed in Atlanta.
Jake.
Yeah. You knew him?
Yeah.
Friend of yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Jake, yeah.
Did they ever find out who killed him?
Well, the guy that's supposed to kill him is supposed to be in jail. I mean, dead now.
Wolf?
Yeah.
Wolf wasn't just protecting Diddy from Suge and his likes. He also ensured Puff wasn't doing anything stupid. He stopped the girl from consuming a spiked drink filled with Diddy's urine that was for Tupac's girlfriend at the time, Kadada Jones.
So I'm waiting for this to say something to this girl. Like, I know you ain't finna let this girl drink this piss right here. And he had a smirk on his face. So the girl got the glass up to her mouth. And if it wasn't for Anthony Wolf Jones, she'd have had a mouthful of piss.
But this friendship wasn't just loyalty and security. It got real in 1999 during the infamous Club New York shooting. That night, things got out of hand real fast. Diddy, his then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, rapper Sean, and others were partying when a fight broke out and shots rang through the club. Apparently, Matthew Scar Allen got in an argument with Diddy and his crew, and in all of that, Sean was said to have shot in the air to de-escalate the situation.
Scar, who was the instigator, I know Scar from Brooklyn. Those are my guys. I didn't really have a problem with that. Wasn't my beef. That was Puff's issue. They had a problem with Puff for whatever reason. I don't know what their problem was with Puff. I'm not saying that it was a legitimate problem.
Despite talks in some corner that it was Diddy that actually pulled the trigger, when the cops got involved, he didn't have to worry because he had the backing of Wolf, who told their lawyer that he actually tried to stop Diddy from swinging a champagne bottle and not shooting a gun as some people believed. Wolf told anybody who cared to listen that it was actually Sean who was at fault.
I know this young lady said Puff did the shooting. What I was told by Wolf himself, and he spoke very little about it because he had mad love for Sean. Sean did pull the trigger.
Sean ended up taking the fall, doing 10 years in prison while Diddy and Wolf walked away free after a high-profile trial. Wolf stood strong next to Diddy in court and in the streets. That case should have ended them both, but they beat it. Now, here's where things start to shift. Around the early 2000s, Diddy got close to Demetrius Big Meech Flenory, the flashy and feared boss of the Black Mafia family, better known as BMF. Meech wasn't just a drug kingpin, he moved like a rap star. But that connection between Puff and Meech That introduction didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was Wolf that linked them up.
He the one who opened the doors to Bad Boy and BMF down at Atlanta. That all came from Wolf.
Wolf had his own relationship with Big Meech long before Puff got in the picture. But once Puff and Meech started doing business, whether it was music, parties, or something more underground, things started getting complicated. As for Wolf, he had other plans that didn't involve Diddy, so just like that, he approached Diddy to request the $300,000 that he had loaned him when Puff was trying to put Bad Boy's records together and needed some cash.
I guess he wanted to move on and he needed his money, I guess, that he put up, or, Wolf said it was $300,000. I heard from a couple other people it was probably a little bit more than that. But Wolf, I heard him say in the office, I had $300,000, man, when I first started messing with you, bro. I had $300,000. You understand? And I just want my money.
It gets interesting from here because Diddy allegedly told Wolf that once he gave him his $300,000, they'd go their separate ways. Just like that, almost like he was trying to cut off somebody he'd been rolling with for years. Like he already made peace with letting Wolf go, not as a friend, not as family, but like just another dude who did a job.
What people don't know was Puff was putting a battery in Wolf back, talking about, I don't need you no more. When I do this Universal deal, I'm gonna give you $300,000 and leave you the f alone. Wolf said, you could never leave me alone. You understand? He said, but them guys ain't tough like you think they are. So he putting a battery in this kid's back. I'm listening to all this shit right there, but Wolf don't care. He said, yo, them ain't like that, I'm telling you. He ain't like that. You understand? Puff was talking about, I don't need you no more. I don't need you no more. You understand? I'm good.
Wolf had moved to Atlanta to carve out his own path. Still respected and still connected. Still a name people said with caution and respect. But unfortunately, his story came to a tragic end back in November 11th, 2003. On that night, outside of the Chaos nightclub in Atlanta, Wolf and his friend Lamont Riz Gertie were gunned down in a shootout. Now, as the story goes, Wolf got a call saying that the lady that he was with at the time was in the club with some dude from BMF. Now, Wolf pulled up and got into a scuffle with the lady, which caused Big Meech to get involved.
They were at a party and it was a young lady that was actually pregnant by Wolf. She was over there with another dude and Wolf said something to her and she came and knocked his hat off his head and Wolf snatched her up. And then according to a couple of guys that was right there said that he snatched her up and then Meech intervened and then security came and put Wolf out.
But the drama ended after they got thrown out of the club. But Wolf and his homie waited outside leaning on Big Meech's car waiting for him. And when the BMF guys eventually showed up outside, a shootout started. And Big Meech, who was at the scene, got shot in the ass.
And Wolf and Rizzo are, I guess, sitting on Big Meech's car.
Yeah, well, leaning against his car.
Leaning against his car.
Yeah.
As a show of disrespect.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Like they're waiting on you.
Yeah.
That was just like a sign of, like, yeah.
But were you there?
No.
Okay.
No, but I get the first hand.
Right.
I got the report, so.
Yeah, and I guess him and Rizzo pulled out their guns first and started firing.
Right. And he took a shot in the ass.
Wolf and Riz lost their lives in the shootout, with the crazy part being that the shooter who took out Wolf was said to be a guy whom he brought into the BMF fold.
He was in a shootout with a couple of guys from BMF, and allegedly the guy he put down with BMF is the one got close enough to kill him.
Atlanta police arrested Big Meech and his bodyguard, charging them with a double homicide. But the case didn't hold up. Meech claimed it was self-defense, and the prosecutors couldn't prove they had the intent to kill. Because of that, the charges got dropped, and the whole thing turned into a cold case. And as with every other death case involving Diddy, a much darker theory started floating around regarding the death of Anthony Wolf Jones. It started to feel like this shooting wasn't just a club beef, but a premeditated hit. Word on the street is that Puff needed to silence someone who knew too much, so he gave Big Meech the green light. That Wolf, tired of broken promises and unpaid debts, was becoming a threat. He knew too much about Puff's world, about the parties, the deals, the dirt, and he had receipts. Over the years, it's been said that Wolf kept a secret insurance file, a stash of evidence that included audio, videos, paperwork on all the things he'd witnessed while working for Diddy and hanging around the industry's elite. The kind of file that could end careers. It might sound bogus on the surface, but according to Gene Deal, Wolf's mother told him that investigators had recordings of Diddy speaking with Big Meech, and on the tape, Diddy allegedly said something that made it seem like he was giving Meech the go-ahead as regards to Wolf. Like he was setting up something between his buddy and the BMF so that Meech could take care of business.
Wolf's mother let me hear something that the prosecutor from Atlanta, that Puff told Meech, go ahead and do what you gotta do, when him and Wolf and them was beefing outside. I heard Wolf say out of his mouth, I'ma show you them niggas ain't that. I knew he was building up the atmosphere between Meech and Wolf to go at it.
What might have been in Wolf's insurance file? Sources say it could have contained information on past shootings, names of people connected to violent incidents, and even recordings of high-profile parties where things got out of hand. Drugs, assaults, underage girls, blackmail, that kind of stuff. Stuff powerful people will kill to keep buried. But all of that talk still remains speculation. Another theory about Wolf's death is that it wasn't just personal, it was business. Some folks say it was a straight up hit tied to a much bigger money issue. One rumor that won't die is that Diddy owed BMF a serious debt, and Wolf ended up caught in the middle of that tension. Word is, when Meech got locked up, Diddy and his crew would still run into BMF affiliates out in public, and the energy was tense every time. Like, both sides knew there was unfinished business, but nobody wanted to be the first to move.
A bunch of guys from BMF that was next to Meech might feel a certain way when we came in the club, or give Puff that look like, yeah, if it, whatever, like, yeah, we could get down, you know what I'm saying? And Meech wasn't even here no more. You know what I'm saying? Meech was locked up. But whenever we went to Atlanta and we went to the different clubs, they felt like they had to put their chests up and whatever's whatever. It was that type of situation.
If that death story is true, then Wolf's death might have been less about a fallout between friends and more about a message being sent. The third theory in the Wolf story, and the one that gets more traction, is that Wolf might be the real father of Justin Combs, Diddy's oldest son. It sounds wild, but the theory keeps popping up. Some people believe Wolf had a relationship with Misa Hilton, Justin's mother, before she got with Diddy.
People was always saying that Justin looked just like Anthony Wolf Jones. Anthony Wolf Jones' mother came and told me the same thing.
I respect, what's the red one? Lil Wolf, that nigga, cause it's like, if he can't tell, you different, little nigga. And I respect it, cause I look back, I be watching him like, damn, that nigga like his daddy. You feel me? That's a real gangster. They don't even understand why he moved differently from them niggas. Them the little fruit, like he don't understand why Quincy like soft like that, why Christian a little laid back. That's their real daddy, Christian, Justin or whatever, Justin, because that's their real father. They have his genes, the scariness, you are pressing everything. You are the aggressor in everything.
Justin was born in 1993 to Misa Hilton Brim, a young and talented designer. That same year, Diddy was just getting Bad Boy Records off the ground. Diddy didn't even sign his birth certificate for years. That left Misa with no choice but to take him to court in 1999 for child support. So while the world saw Diddy shine, Justin was growing up watching his dad from afar. barely feeling his presence. After Wolf's death in 2003, Diddy seemed to have a change of heart. All of a sudden, he started bringing Justin into the spotlight. There's no doubt that the timelines are fuzzy. If the Justin talk is true, and that's a big if, it would have given Wolf power over Diddy that no one else had. So here's the question that still hangs in the air. Does Wolf's secret files still exist? And some people believe he gave it to family members for safekeeping. But no one ever seen the file. Maybe it's a myth. Maybe it does exist. Or maybe someone's still holding on to it and just waiting for the right moment. What do you think? Leave a comment, then like and share it. Let us know what you thought about this story. Yo, we'll check you out next time. And in the meantime, get the merch. It's right there. Look at it. Click on it. Yeah, I'm about to buy some more. Yo, peace and blessings.